Today, 2nd February 2020, I am appearing before you, one asking the President, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and Right Honorable Raila Odinga, to apologize to Kenyans for having allowed the Deputy President to conduct premature politics of 2022 presidential campaigns without raising any flag or concerns as he continues to drain Kenyans' resources in order to fund his 7-year campaigns, which he started actively in 2016. It should be remembered that on 27 June 2016, I held a press conference warning Ruto against early campaigns, presidential campaigns of 2022, and at the same time warned him against lying to himself that he would get votes from the Kikuyu community, as they are unsure if he would prioritize their security and that of Kenyan at large. It should be remembered that throughout their first term in the office, His Excellency the President was blackmailed by his deputy, thus forcing his silence instead of taking serious action against massive theft of Kenyans' resources by Ruto and his associates. He went to an extent of avoiding me whenever I issued statements asking to stop stealing from Kenyans, as he continued bribing members of parliament and some governors from Mount Kenya region and Rift Valley, and is instilling fear to communities living in these regions. The problem faced by Kenyans today is as a result of fear that His Excellency the President had in losing his 2017 presidential elections, thus mostly depended on Rift Valley Kalenjin votes, therefore giving his deputy and his associates a blank check, which resulted to massive stealing of Kenyan resources. One of the mega scandals is NYS-1, whereby Ruto and his team planned intelligently and succeeded in stealing Kenya shilling 791 million, and squarely planned on how Kenyans would believe that Anne Waiguru, the current governor of Kirinyaga County, stole the money. To my surprise, the president did nothing about it, even after he learned that it was Ruto and his team who stole the money. It should be noted that the major scandals being investigated in this term took place in the first term, and in this regard, I would like to ask President Uhuru Kenyatta not to continue having fear as he deals with his deputy president's scandal matters, such as Kimwarel Dam scandal, May scandals, among others, so as to ensure justice is done to Kenyans. The President should also stop the ongoing plans by Ruto and his team from conducting parallel BBI meetings, which are meant to create bad blood amongst Kenyans. It is the highest time now His Excellency the President and his brother Raila Odinga stop Kenyans for a ride and declare their interest in the presidential seat and prime minister seat in order not to keep Kenyans gazing on the scene. Again, I take this earliest opportunity to propose that Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga as the suitable presidential candidate in 2022 elections, as he is the best suited in bringing Kenyans together and improving the economy of this country. I also propose His Excellency the President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta in becoming the Executive Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya in 2022, so as to help him recover the time wasted in his first term in office as he worked under duress, fear and blackmail by his deputy, William Ruto. And again, it should be remembered, as the initiator of BBI, they carry the vision, both of them, and unless it comes to that level whereby they would take the mantle, then it will be useless as we continue, because the person who carries the vision is the only person who can really do the finish to the expectation. Consequently, it should be noted that it has been very difficult to keep his expectations and that of Kenyans with regards to his promise on the 4 pillars of the government agenda due to too much of 2022 politics by the Deputy President, who is meant to be a principal assistant. I once again want to reiterate that Uhuru Kenyatta may not be able to pursue Kenyans' agenda such as the BBI and the Big Four development agenda with the kind of fear that was instilled in him during his first term. Thank you. And I've said, since the agenda was to bring Kenyans together, but both of them are the ones who carries that vision as it stands today. So that's why I feel that it would be in order if they take that position, so that they can be able to fulfill the promise they gave to Kenyans of making sure there is inclusivity, rather than bringing in someone else and who would come and change the whole idea of bringing Kenyans together. Because remember, when Section 2A of the Constitution was repealed in 1990, Moi went with it. He started afresh and contested in 1992, whereby he enjoyed the 2 terms presidential race. And therefore, I think this position of Prime Minister, it doesn't exist. It is Kenyans who will create that position. And I think Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has a right also as a Kenyan to vie for it. So that is my proposal, as I said, but I've just given some reasons why I think he would be the best suited person to move with that agenda. Because if it is taken by other people, we do not know how they would feel as far as inclusivity is concerned after 2022. Yeah, I think the indication is as far as the presidential seat is concerned, because remember, one is eligible for 2 terms. But now when it comes to Prime Minister, this is a new position which is coming, and I think he has the right. He is not barred by the Constitution. Right now, I know he's busy with the BBI and this fighting corruption. And that's why I'm saying until he puts his hands free, not continue with that fear which was instilled to him by his deputy. He should actually work harder than he has been doing this term. Make sure that he takes people to court. And I would imagine if there is no file that leads to prosecuting, taking Ruto to court, then I think Kinoti, DPP needs to go back to the drawing board and see what has been happening. Otherwise, we'd be getting nowhere if we just do have a selective justice. Because if we mean to fight corruption, then we should start with the mother of corruption. What I'm saying is that when you look at the BBI and the nine points which came up during their meeting, I think even the managers who will be manning these will be very keen to make sure that they include everyone in the employment and all that. And remember, we are probably members of parliament, and when I say members of parliament, I'm talking of National Assembly and the Senate, will be appointed, most of them will be appointed to become the CSs in the next government. That will make things easier because that will go with regions, and of course they'll be taking care of that. One, and this has always been my stand, Uhuru has only one vote under the name of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. The rest of votes in Kenya belongs to other 40-something or whatever millions. So if Uhuru decides to give Ruto a vote today, that is not my vote. It is his decision. And remember, in those political rallies, because there is nowhere where they came up with a policy on the same. In those political rallies, which were actually within South Rift, when Ruto, or when Uhuru mentioned that, remember, things were not working very well by then to his deputy in South Rift. And so it is his deputy who approached him to try and sweet talk to his people so that they would not run away from him. Others remember during that time, they almost went to rally behind Kanu when Salat was heading to NASA. So that is the reason why Uhuru went that route. And remember, it has been a culture whereby we found it that way, and it remains like that. Sometimes a slip of tongue is allowed in these public rallies. But don't forget, as a member from Kikuyu community, I think I was in this room with members of for the state, and I made it very clear to Ruto that he should not rely on Kikuyu's vote. Again, it is quite undemocratic for anyone to think that the sitting president can promise anyone votes those belongs to Kenyans, because it is not practical, it is not right, and it is unconstitutional. You are not even supposed to imagine whom I'll vote for, because that is against the law. And I've always said I never imagined Ruto to be that low, to think that someone would promise him votes that belongs to other Kenyans, apart from him, the one for himself, not even for his wife. And therefore, Uhuru's statement during that time of campaign, whatever he told the gathering, that I don't think it carries any weight at all. And it doesn't make any sense to me to go by that. Ruto should win the hearts of Kenyans, Two, he should clean himself with those scandals which he is involved. He should go back again, talk to these communities he has always been referring to. Remember what happened in 2007. I think he needs to go back to the drawing board and sit down with individuals, look for votes, not to expect Uhuru to decide to Kenyans whom they will vote for. You know, most of these governors won't be even eligible to be in any office by 2022. Remember, right now we have about 2 or 3 of them who cannot even throw a stone into their office. Remember Babayao, the other day, you see what happened. We are talking of governors who really need first to clean themselves. Those offices are created for Kenyans, not for particular individuals. I think some governors should have a lot of fear. Likewise to the Deputy President, because if BBI is to go by, the proposals in BBI is to go by, I think people like the Deputy President and some governors will not be in the ballot to vie for any seats. So, and I think Kenyans need to be prepared towards that line, so that mambo ya mtu wetu ishia hapo, or they go to a cleaner person if they really need to have someone of their own in that office. And I think Kenyans need to be more intelligent and to be more prepared on what is really happening. They need to go through that document known as BBI. They go through it keenly and see the points which were raised by the two good friends, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and Raila Moro Odinga. And I think I commend them for that brilliant idea they came up with, because that is what will really save Kenyans. I think if we really can go by the proposals of the BBI, Kenya will be a very beautiful place, whereby someone would find some coins dropped in the street and you leave it for the owner to come and pick it. If Uhuru can really stop this thing of fear, I think that is what has really derailed the fighting of corruption. Because if he wipes that completely, I know he's a good man and he means good to this country, I think we'll be heading somewhere. I think that's a good question. As I've said, that is why I'm coming up with this call. And that is why I'm demanding apology coming from His Excellency the President. Because all along in the first term, he knew things were not going in the right direction. But because of 2017 elections, he had to go silent. This is a time whereby he really needs to work hard to crack the whip. Arresting Ruto is not a big deal. And I think if he was involved, because I believe he was, it means nothing good would come up from the investigations until Ruto is arrested and charged before court.